On the day of the engagement gifts from the Marquis of Pingyang, I overheard my half-sister Wanqing Shen whispering to Yuanzhou Song, "My lord, I'm already carrying your child. What should we do now?" She clung to his sleeve, voice trembling. "Do you honestly want me to marry someone else while pregnant with your baby?" Yuanzhou Song gently coaxed her. "Don't worry, I'll get your elder sister to agree. You'll enter my house with her, and I'll take care of you and the child." What a joke. I'm the legitimate daughter of the Duke of Zhenguo, and they think I'd share a husband with those two? Ridiculous. I turned and met Wanqing's intended, Huaizhi Gu. "If I propose a swap, would you consider taking a noble-born lady instead? Beautiful, with a proper dowry?" He gave me a look, brows raised slightly. "My lady, have you been drinking?" Huaizhi Gu was the groom father had chosen for Wanqing. Even though she's a concubine's daughter, father truly cared for her, and it took him 2 full years to settle on Huaizhi Gu. I trusted his judgment. Huaizhi Gu seemed like a man worth relying on. I smiled. It seems both of us are stuck with unfaithful partners. Misery does love company. His frown deepened, and he opened his mouth to reply, but I cut in. "Don't doubt me, this is news to me too. Getting cheated on isn't exactly something I'd make up for fun. If you're not interested in raising another man's child, I'll find someone else to marry." I leaned in slightly. "Let's not forget, your engagement to my sister was arranged only because you requested it from His Majesty out of consideration for her. But do you really want to marry someone sullied? Raise another man's bastard?" I was in the middle of my rant when Huaizhi Gu suddenly covered my mouth and pulled me behind a rockery. Footsteps echoed nearby. It was Wanqing and Yuanzhou. "I can't wait much longer," Wanqing hissed. "My belly's starting to show." "Relax. I've got a plan. Later, lure your sister to the side yard. I'll have a servant there. I've got the drug ready. Once we catch her alone with a man, she'll have no choice but to let you into the house." Wanqing's voice dropped. "But can you really go through with it?" Yuanzhou laughed softly. "I'm sick of her. Dull and uptight. You're so much more understanding. Just give me a son, and I'll promote you to official wife. You won't suffer, I promise." Their voices faded as they walked off, and finally, Huaizhi Gu let go. I looked at him. "Now do you believe me?" As expected from a seasoned general, he didn't flinch at any of it. Calm and silent, he met my eyes. "So what do you want to do?" "What do I want? I'm not letting those two set me up like a fool. If they want war, I'll give them one." The banquet was in full swing as I returned to the hall. The Marchioness of Pingyang waved me over, smiling like a perfect mother-in-law. "Yang, come, sit by me." Someone nearby chuckled. "She's truly the pride of the capital's young ladies. Such a fine match for the Marquis' household." Just then, steaming soup was brought in. I smiled at the ladies. "Fresh shad from Jiangnan. I made this soup myself for you all to try." I took a bowl and sat next to Wanqing. "Sister, you look pale. Wedding nerves? This was your favorite dish. I made it just for you." I held the spoon to her lips. As soon as the soup touched her mouth, her face turned white. She gagged and vomited all over the floor. I jumped up, acting shocked. What happened? Could it be the food? That's serious. Someone, fetch the physician, quick. Wanqing grabbed my arm and said weakly, "It's nothing, sister. I just didn't sleep well last night." I cut her off. "You're throwing up. How could that just be lack of sleep? If it's bad food, that's serious. Someone bring a Baoqing pill here." It was a well-known remedy from the Baohe Hall. It usually helped with stomach discomfort, but it contained musk. For someone pregnant, it would absolutely cause a miscarriage. Wanqing's face turned pale as a sheet. She shook her head like mad. "No, sister. Really, I'll be fine with some tea." I frowned, worried. "You've always hated taking medicine, but health isn't a joke. Stop being stubborn and take it." A noble young lady standing by added, "Yeah, it's sweet anyway. Not hard to swallow." Wanqing looked more and more panicked. I reached out and gently forced the pill toward her. "This isn't just about today. You're getting married in 2 months. If you don't take care of yourself now, what then?" The moment I mentioned marriage, Wanqing immediately gagged and vomited again. The pill fell right out onto the floor. Juer rushed in with the physician. "Young miss, the doctor's here." Looking at Wanqing, who looked like she was going to faint any second, I called out in a hurry, "Doctor, quick, see what's wrong with my sister." Just then, Wanqing spotted Yuanzhou Song walking in. She cried out weakly, "My lord, I don't want a doctor. I just didn't sleep well. Please help me talk to sister. I hate medicine, you know that. I always throw up after." Yuanzhou frowned as he looked at me. Yang, you're her big sister. You know she hates doctors and medicine. Aren't you being too harsh, forcing her like this? His words stung. My eyes went red. How can you say that? She's my sister. Did you not see how badly she was vomiting just now? Ask Madame Pingyang, she saw too. You think I'm being mean? I'm just worried. She's about to be married. How could I sit back knowing she's unwell? Madame Pingyang looked stern. Yuanzhou, you're a man. You don't understand these things. Just let the physician do his job. Yuanzhou opened his mouth again, but before he could say anything, Huaizhi Gu stepped into the hall and pulled him aside. Yuanzhou, they're asking for you in the front. What are you doing here? Let's go have some drinks. Being a man of the military, one move from Huaizhi was all it took to lead him away. The physician took Wanqing's pulse. His expression changed. Second, miss, this seems like a pregnancy pulse. The hall went dead silent. The teacup in my hand slipped and shattered on the floor. I snapped. What nonsense are you spouting? My sister's not even married yet. How can she be pregnant? What kind of quack are you? Huaizhi Gu's face turned stormy. He strode up and grabbed the doctor by his collar. She's my fiancée. Daring to slander her like this, do you want your head chopped off? The doctor trembled. General, I wouldn't dare. If you don't believe me, call another physician. If I'm wrong, I'll take whatever punishment you see fit. Wanqing looked like the blood had drained from her face. She shook uncontrollably. Huaizhi bellowed, "Someone, get the imperial physician, now." The imperial physician, who had been drinking in the front hall, arrived quickly. But as expected, the diagnosis was the same. Second miss is about 2 months pregnant. Wanqing's eyes rolled back and she fainted on the spot. In a flash, Huaizhi drew his sword and held it to her throat. Even if you die, I'll have the name of the man who did this. I grabbed the cold tea from the table and splashed it at her. Wanqing gasped and woke up again, eyes fluttering open to find everyone staring, her face flushed with shame and anger. Sister, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You won't be happy until I'm dead. Mother's voice turned icy. Shut your mouth. Tell me, who's the father of your child? Wanqing frantically shook her head, lips trembling, not daring to speak. The nanny, as I'd instructed earlier, had already gone to the front hall and now came rushing back. She raised her voice. Madam, the Duke says if the second young miss won't name the man, then just strangle her with a white silk sash. Better that than letting her tarnish the Shen family's name. We can't afford such disgrace. Concubine Liu rushed over, beating her chest and grabbing Wanqing. You're about to die. Just say it already. If you keep quiet, your father really will kill you. I let out a cold laugh. Our dear little sister does have some backbone after all. Fine then, someone bring the sash. Let's grant her this final bit of honor. Wanqing's eyes darted around in panic at the word sash, and then she collapsed at my feet, clinging to my robe on her knees. Sister, please, only you can save me now. Please, I beg you. She sobbed uncontrollably, sneaking a desperate glance at Yuanzhou Song. The Marchioness of Pingyang gasped aloud. Mother's shout rang through the room. Don't tell me. That child belongs to the heir? Yuanzhou Song's face turned crimson. He dropped to his knees with a loud thud. Please, mother-in-law, show us mercy. Mother stepped back in shock. You ought to mind your position, your lordship. Our families haven't even tied the knot yet. Smack! I slapped Wanqing across the face with all my strength. Do you even realize I was supposed to be married in 2 months? That man is your future brother-in-law, and you slept with him anyway. Do you have no shame? How could you do this to me? To our family? Wanqing clutched her face and cried, her voice hoarse. Sister, I didn't mean for it to happen. I really do love him. I just wanted to be by his side. I don't care about titles or status. Please let me marry into the Marquis's household with you. That's all I ask. Yuanzhou pulled her into his arms, holding her trembling body, and looked up with heavy guilt. Wanqing's not some shameless girl. It's all my fault. I drank too much that day and mistook her for you. That's how things got out of hand. What's done is done, Yang. Wouldn't it be better to let her marry into the household too? Your sisters, after all. If you both enter the family together, you'll be close and look after one another. There's no need for you two to be separated. Wouldn't that be ideal? Crash. Huaizhi Gu yanked Yuanzhou Song up by the collar and punched him hard. I let out a long breath. That felt so right. Huaizhi scoffed. So the heir wants to take my fiancé now? Should I cancel our engagement first, then? No, let's settle this man to man before anything else. Wanqing let out a shriek and threw herself between them. Please, General, don't hurt him. This is all my doing. I love him. I can't help it. I spat in disgust. You, a lady of the Shen household, running off to seduce your sister's fiancé just because you have feelings for him. And now you're pregnant and think you still deserve sympathy? What a disgrace. Tears streamed down her pale cheeks. It's because I'm an illegitimate daughter. Father always favored you. He arranged a marriage with the Marquis for you, but for me it's a general. He knows I hate war and fighting. He only sees you. Our father strode in then, face like stone. I spent 2 whole years picking a husband for you. And yet, to you, all that matters is the glitter and glamour of the Marquis's house. You look down on General Gu for not being refined enough? With that attitude, you don't deserve him. General Gu, it's our family who owes you an apology. He turned to Yuanzhou. And as for you, Herr Song, our family still has some dignity left. We won't send 2 daughters to marry the same man. Finally, father looked at me. Yang, after everything that's come to light, do you still want to marry this man? I shook my head firmly. A man like that? No way I'd ever entrust my life to him. He knew he was engaged to me, knew Wanqing had a betrothed too, yet still did such a thing. My engagement with the heir of Pingyang is over. The Marchioness of Pingyang hurried forward to plead. Please don't be angry, eldest miss. It was all that brat's fault. I'll make sure he's punished properly and give you an explanation. I took a step back. You're too polite, madam. With your heir behaving like this, there's no way I'd marry into your family. Please return our engagement documents. Yuanzhou Song helped Wanqing Shen up and looked at me. Yang, you're one of the most admirable noble ladies in the capital. I thought your heart was generous and wouldn't get jealous like those other women. I didn't expect you to be so narrow-minded, not even tolerating your own sister. Wanqing looked at me too. Sister, I'm not trying to steal your place. The child I bear could grow up under your care. Just treat me like a servant. Would that make it easier to accept me into the household? Enough, my mother snapped sharply. I can't believe our family raised someone so shameless. Concubine Liu, this is your fine upbringing. Someone, take second miss to the ancestral hall. She's to copy scriptures and isn't allowed out without my permission. Concubine Liu threw herself at Wanqing, sobbing. Madam, she's carrying the heir's child. Are you really going to let her hit a dead end? Father kicked her away. One more word, and I'll write you a letter of dismissal myself. You can take her and get out for good. If you hadn't raised her to be this way, how else could she have ended up seducing another man? Father pulled out Yuanzhou Song's engagement document and threw it at him. The engagement between our 2 families ends now. Yuanzhou cried out, Uncle, this marriage can't be undone. It's a betrothal granted by the emperor. My father's face darkened. This was exactly what left him both furious and helpless. Both matches were royal decrees. Canceling one wasn't simple. Yuanzhou called again. Yang, the empress is quite fond of you. Why not go to the palace, tell her you can't bear being separated from your sister, and ask to marry us both into my household? What do you say? I had never heard anything so shameless in my life. Everyone around was visibly disgusted. The heir of Pingyang sure has a lot of nerve. Wants to marry 2 sisters like a prize? He does something so disgraceful and now expects Yang to clean it up for him? Where does he get the gall? The legitimate daughter of a duke's family was already marrying beneath herself, and he still couldn't cherish it, even when after his fiancée's sister. I stood tall, looking down at him with disdain. You might not want your pride, but I still want mine, Yuanzhou Song. I turned to my father. Father, the emperor's decree only mentions a marriage to the duke's legitimate daughter. Wanqing's been registered under mother's name all along. Don't they always say she's a legitimate daughter too? Then no matter who marries, it still fulfills the term. Yuanzhou stared at me. So you'd rather marry that brute? I turned to Huaizhi Gu and walked to stand beside him. General, would you be willing to switch the bride? Not Wanqing Shen, but me, Yang Shen, the legitimate eldest daughter of the Duke's manor and granddaughter of Prince Zhengyang. Huaizhi Gu glanced at Yuanzhou Song, whose eyes all but spat fire, then smiled and looked at me, saying each word with care. If the eldest Miss Shen would have me, I'd be more than honored. I was the true legitimate eldest daughter of the Duke's household, born to the princess of Prince Zhengyang. With a background like that, I was fit to be crowned princess. If only the royal sons were of age, the empress would have already tried to match me with one of them. Yuanzhou Song's face flushed as he blocked my path. Yang, you're my fiancé. We've already agreed to marry in 2 months. What happened with Wanqing was just a misunderstanding. Even if she's pregnant, I'd still marry her, but she'd never take your place. If this bothers you so much, maybe we can find another way. What if I just keep her in a separate courtyard and don't bring her into the main residence? Wanqing Shen grabbed his arm in a panic. My lord, what are you saying? Keep me in a separate courtyard. I'm carrying your child. Just because of sister, you want our child born without a proper title or place. I looked at the two coldly. Yuanzhou Song, you really disgust me. Get out of the way, I said and turned to leave. He lunged forward to stop me, but Huaizhi Gu stepped in and blocked him. My lord, Miss Yang is no longer your fiancée. She's mine now. If you dare lay a finger on her, don't blame me for breaking your hand. Not every woman's into slick, pretty boys like you. She said herself you make her sick. After what you two did behind her back, you honestly thought she'd still marry you? That's a joke. Huaizhi Gu glanced at them with a sneer. Then father calmly handed over the birth date papers. My lord, this is Wanqing's. Since you two are clearly fond of each other, let me help you out. When the date comes, you'll marry Wanqing instead. In the meantime, I suggest you stop coming to the Duke's manor. You're no longer welcome here. The Lady of Pingyang watched helplessly as her future daughter-in-law changed from a duke's legitimate daughter to a concubine's child. The grand dream of power and wealth vanished just like that. The scandal between Yuanzhou Song and Wanqing Shen soon spread across the capital, turning into the latest laughingstock. That same night, Wanqing Shen was locked in the ancestral hall. Father's order was clear. She's not to leave until her wedding day. Concubine Lu tried to speak, but was quickly silenced. Mother had the nanny escort her back to the side courtyard and put her under house arrest for 2 months, not to be released until Wanqing's wedding. Rumor had it, Yuanzhou Song returned to the Pingyang Marquis Manor only to get beaten by his father. I fought so hard to get you this marriage alliance, and you tossed it all away for some concubine's daughter? The Marquis roared. Yuanzhou tried to defend himself. It's not my fault. The Duke's family failed to raise their daughter well. So what if she was to be my wife? Once married, she should accept her husband's household, including other women. She can't even tolerate my child with Wanqing. If I married her, there'd be no peace in the home. Wanqing is gentler and more obedient. What's wrong with that? The Marquis was so furious he nearly passed out. Do you even know who Yang Shen is? The Emperor and Empress both praise her. She's the direct granddaughter of Prince Pingyang. Her background is gold. Do you realize how critical this connection is? If I hadn't fought alongside her father on the battlefield back in the day, do you think this marriage would have even been an option for you? You think a marriage alliance is just about getting yourself a wife? It's about the future of the whole Pingyang family. If you can't carry this responsibility, then maybe it's time we chose someone else to be heir. While the Pingyang manor was in total chaos, things were quiet at the general's estate. Huaizhi Gu had been busy and hadn't visited the Duke's manor once. It wasn't until the engagement day arrived and the general's house came bearing the betrothal gifts that I understood why he'd been absent. Among the gifts was a pair of live geese. It was winter, and to hunt down such a pair meant someone had gone hundreds of miles south to a warmer place. His deputy chuckled as he explained. The general wore out 2 horses just getting back in time for today. Said he couldn't be late. Whoever marries the lady of the Duke's manor needs to send only the best. This pair of geese means loyalty and harmony. The general said it's a lucky sign. He believes your marriage will be full of joy and respect. The dowry gifts were opened up in the front courtyard, dozens of large chests laid out, packed to the brim. The scale of it all had even the bystanders at the gate gasping. Holy heavens, just look at all that! Rare treasures and calligraphy scrolls. That's got to be worth a fortune. Mother used to worry I'd be mistreated marrying into the general's household, but seeing this, her whole expression softened. She kept murmuring with joy, "Good, very good, truly good." Standing humbly before the elders, Huaizhi Gu said with a slight smile, "Rest assured, mother-in-law, there's more in this box, shops and land deeds, all meant for Yang Yang's trousseau." That made everyone laugh, including the elders. "Why not just wait till you're married and hand them over then? Might save you the trouble," one aunt teased, grinning. It's the groom's dowry that really shows how much he values the marriage. When compared to that, Pingyang Marquis Manor's offerings for Wanqing Shen looked downright pitiful. Only a dozen or so chests, filled mostly with fabric, wedding pastries, a measly 500 taels of silver, and some tea. Even the jewelry looked like outdated leftovers, not a trace of this year's fashion in sight. The golden hair pieces were dull and faded, clearly gathered at the last minute by some elder. Wanqing Shen's face went pale as she stared at Yuzong, who stood blankly beside her. "What is this supposed to mean, my lord? What does your family mean by this?" she asked bitterly. "When you proposed to my sister, you brought so much more, but when it's me, this is all I get? Look at what Huaizhi Gu prepared. Does your Pingyang household not care about appearances anymore? How am I supposed to hold my head high after this? How will I face others from now on?" Yuanzhou Song sighed, annoyance flickering in his eyes. "Didn't you always say you didn't care about these things? And now you're fussing over them? These are just formalities. Besides, once you're in the house, most of it gets brought back anyway. It's pointless. And let's be honest, you're a concubine's daughter. Your status isn't the same as your sister's." Of course, hers was more generous. Tears welled up in Wanqing's eyes and began to fall. "You're regretting this, aren't you? You think if you'd married my sister, you'd be living in luxury and status. But you chose me, and now you've got nothing to gain from it. If you always knew you'd regret it, why bother getting involved with me in the first place? If you'd never whispered sweet things, never shown me kindness and tenderness, how could I have ignored your identity and still fallen for you?" Just as Yuanzhou Song was about to speak, the Pingyang Marchioness chimed in, tone clipped and sharp. "Second miss, today's your big day. Crying and fussing like this brings nothing but bad luck. Better not bring misfortune along with you before you even set foot in our manor." Wanqing Shen instantly held it in at that. Her sobs caught in her throat. Then, from the distance, came a piercing voice. "Heavens, this is supposed to be a marquis's wedding gifts? Who'd believe it? Good grief, this tea's nothing but leftover leaves. And this gold jewelry? Did it crawl out of storage 10 years ago? So dull and worn. 500 taels as bride price? Honestly, even for a concubine, that's insulting." The Marchioness of Pingyang couldn't take it anymore and ended up arguing loudly with concubine Liu. The crowd at the gate was buzzing with excitement. "Look, isn't that the hair of the Pingyang Marquis messing around with his wife's younger sister? Oh, you don't know? That second girl, the illegitimate one, only got through the door because she's carrying his child. Seriously, what was he thinking? Giving up a legitimate lady for a concubine born? Brain must have sprung a leak. Just compare the betrothal gifts from General Huaizhi to those from the Pingyang Marquis estate. What a disgrace." Madame of Pingyang Marquis and Yuanzhou Song were blushing one second and pale the next, clearly embarrassed by the gossip. They rushed through the formalities and hurried off. Meanwhile, Huaizhi Gu was warmly received by his father, who insisted he stay for the banquet. Wanqing Shen glared at me with resentment in her eyes. "Feeling real smug now, aren't you? Still, I married better than you. I'm the heir's wife. One day, I'll be the Pingyang Marchioness." I couldn't help but laugh. "Wanqing, let's see about that. Who says Yuanzhou Song will even inherit the title? And even if he does, who told you you'd be the Marchioness? From the way he chases after new faces, I'm not convinced you'll keep your place for long. Oh, right, have you heard? Someone sent him a pretty concubine lately. Since you're pregnant and won't be able to serve him, they say she's been arranged to keep him company before you even move in. By the time you step into that house, don't be shocked if there's already a child calling someone else mother. So really, Wanqing, open your eyes. Is this really the man you thought was your prize? She flushed red. That's nonsense. The heir said he only loves me. He promised. No concubines, no maidservants sharing his bed. You just want to stir up trouble between us, but I'm not that foolish. I gave a cold laugh. We'll see. Wanqing and I married on the same day. It's not often you see two daughters from one manor marrying out at once. Mother had porridge stations set up outside for the poor, sweets and candy handed out to passing kids. The whole street felt like a festival. Dressed in my wedding finery, I heard people shouting outside, "General Huaizhi has arrived. He's come to fetch the bride." Supported by the bridal matron, I stepped into the courtyard, just as Wanqing did from the other side. Right then, amidst the wedding music, a eunuch strode in and announced an imperial edict. Yuanzhou Song looked relieved and leaned in to whisper to Wanqing, "I asked His Majesty for a gift in your name, to give you face. Now you don't have to feel overshadowed by your sister." Wanqing, gleaming with triumph, looked at me and said, "You'll have to bow to me now, sister. Don't forget that." The eunuch began reading, "By heavenly mandate, the emperor issues this decree. Wanqing Shen, daughter of Duke Zhenguo, is virtuous and graceful. Today joins in marriage with General Huaizhi Gu. She is hereby granted the title of second-rank lady, and may the couple live in harmony. Thus decreed." Huaizhi and I received the decree together. He looked at me and smiled gently. "I earned the title for you through my military merits. I told you, you marry me, you won't be mistreated. Someday, I'll make you a first-rank lady." I looked down at our tightly clasped hands. He held on like I was the most precious thing in the world. I smiled back and nodded. "All right." Father turned to Huaizhi with a stern face. "Take care of my daughter. If you wrong her, I won't let it go." Huaizhi replied earnestly, "Yes, father-in-law. Please rest easy. I'll treat Wanqing well." Two brides climbed into their carriages, the wedding procession splitting at the fork. One to the left, one to the right, headed to their separate futures. That night, my wedding with Huaizhi was warm and full of tenderness. The dragon and phoenix candles burned all night long, like they were wishing us a lifetime of happiness. But early the next morning, while combing my hair, my maid Juer whispered to me, something serious had happened in the Pingyang Marquis's house. After Wanqing Shen and Yuanzhou Song finished their wedding ceremony last night, they entered the bridal room. The moment Yuanzhou left to entertain the guests, Wanqing called a servant over. "Go get that new concubine the young master just took in. I want to talk." The concubine, Yuner Li, the one gifted by a colleague, walked in wearing a bright red dress, all dolled up. As soon as she stepped inside, she said with a smile, "Madam, is something urgent? The young master told me since you're pregnant, you won't be serving him. He'll stay with me every night, so I really can't be delayed. I still need to get ready." Already upset with her, Wanqing snapped the moment she heard that. She stood up, eyes full of anger. "Come in here. This concubine just disrespected me. Grab her and slap her. She needs to learn her place." Wanqing's old nanny was tough as nails. She stepped forward and landed a few hard slaps on Yunerli's face, making her cheeks swell up, lips cracked and bleeding. Yuner screamed, "How dare you hit me? Who do you think you are? Just a concubine's daughter. You really think you're a noble madam now that you've married into this house? We're all just servants, after all. You hitting me is like slapping the young master's face. You think he'll let this slide?" Holding her stomach, Wanqing sneered, "Oh, my poor belly. I'm getting cramps from all this nonsense. Someone take her outside and leave her kneeling." It was cold out, snow and ice all over. Yuner got shoved out and thrown to the ground. She couldn't even move. By the time Yuanzhou came back tipsy after toasting the guests, he found Yuner already kneeling out there, half frozen. She burst into tears the second she saw him, her lips bluish from the cold. "My lord, please help me. Madam beat me just because she found out I served you. I hurt all over." Just as Yuanzhou helped her up, a maid suddenly gasped, "Wait, there's blood in the snow." Yuner froze. The blood was seeping down from under her dress. That's when the pain in her stomach started making sense. She rolled her eyes back and passed out. On her very wedding night, the new lady of the house hurt a concubine so badly she lost the baby, her husband's child. It didn't matter if it was a concubine's child, it still belonged to the family. The Marchioness of Pingyang was livid and threatened to march straight to the Duke's mansion to demand answers about how their daughter was raised. Wanqing Shen's mother, calm as ever, asked her maid, "Go tell them. That girl is the daughter of a concubine, raised at her concubine mother's side, handpicked by the young master himself, the one who rejected a noble's daughter just to marry a concubine-born girl. What's wrong now? Didn't mind her upbringing when he insisted on marrying her. And another thing, before the proper wife even set foot in the house, a concubine's already carrying a child? When has that ever been acceptable in a proper family? What a joke." 3 days later, when it was time to visit the bride's home, we met them at the gate. It was raining. Huaizhi Gu didn't bother calling the maids. He held the umbrella himself and helped me down. I looked at him, half pouting. "It's pouring. Why didn't you let the servants handle it? You're getting soaked." He held me carefully. "If I'm here, there's no need for them. When I was out fighting battles, rain and snow were the least of my worries. I'd lie in the snow for days, drink melted snow, eat roots. No big deal." He said it so casually, but my heart ached. I squeezed his hand. "It's one thing if I'm not around, but as long as I'm with you, I won't let you live like that. You need to take care of yourself, too." He looked at me, eyes warm. "All right, everything you say. Such a lucky sister," came a sour voice behind me. I turned to see Wanqing and Yuanzhou's carriage had just arrived. She'd heard our whole conversation and was green with envy. She stared right at Yuanzhou, snapping, "Why can't you be more like brother-in-law?" But before she could finish, Yuanzhou had already jumped out and run over to the gatehouse to avoid the rain himself. He waved someone over. "Why are you still standing there? Go help the madam down." I couldn't help but laugh under my breath. Huaizhi and I walked into the house, leaving Wanqing to argue with Yuanzhou in the rain. Serves them right. They made their bed. Now they can lie in it. After I married Huaizhi Gu, the noblewomen and ladies in the capital naturally sought me out, keeping close and friendly. But it was a whole different story for Wanqing Shen. Back before marriage, thanks to the prestige of the Duke's manor, a few were still willing to associate with her. But now, after everything that blew up, no one wanted to be seen with her. As for concubine Liu, ever since her daughter became the heir's wife, she had been full of herself. When the Marchioness of Pingyang hosted a banquet, she actually snuck out of our estate while my mother wasn't paying attention and headed straight for the Pingyang Marquis manor, claiming to be the heir's wife's aunt. The gatekeepers didn't dare stop her, so they let her in. Inside, the place was packed with guests. She walked straight toward the head table and greeted loudly, "Lady, I came to see Wanqing." Some of the guests didn't recognize her and asked who she was. When others explained, the looks started changing. No one wanted to sit at the same table with a concubine. That'd be lowering their own status. The Marchioness forced a smile and waved to the guards. "Take the concubine to see the heir's wife." When Wanqing saw her mother brought in by her mother-in-law's maid, she looked like she might explode. "Why are you here? Don't you know how hard things are for me? You showing up just makes things worse. Were you hoping to remind everyone I come from a concubine?" Concubine Liu snapped back, flustered and upset. "So what if you're a concubine's daughter? That's what you are, no matter whose name you were registered under. You think anyone sees you as a proper lady? I'm telling you now, unless you give birth to more sons quickly, you'll never have a solid place in this family. Your cousin's of age now, too. Why not bring her in to keep you company? If the heir's going to take another concubine, wouldn't it be better if it's someone from our side of the family? At least she won't be competing with you." Wanqing's face turned pale with fury. "Are you seriously my mother? You'd rather cram your niece into my husband's room than think of my feelings?" Concubine Liu huffed, clearly annoyed. "What man doesn't have multiple wives and concubines? You think the heir wouldn't take others just because your cousin isn't around?" The tense mother-daughter exchange ended badly, but the very next day, concubine Liu sent her niece Binger Liu into the manor, saying she was there to help her cousin out. Binger knelt down before Wanqing, looking all pitiful. Sister, please let me stay. I won't fight for favor, I promise. Can't you let me stay just this once? Her words were exactly what she once said to me. Just then, Yuanzhou Song walked in and caught that last line. Binger looked quite a bit like Wanqing, but more fragile and sweet, trembling in her thin white robe, little pearl earrings resting at her cheeks. Something about the sight made his heart stir, and he spoke up. Well, she means well. It's just your mother's way of showing care. Let her stay. It's just one more lady in the back courtyard. Put her in the same courtyard as Yuner. That way it'll be easier for you all to get along. Binger looked thrilled. She tilted up her delicate face and then shyly looked down again. Thank you, my lord. Yuanzhou Song turned toward Wanqing. Dear, how about hosting a small banquet tonight? It's a happy occasion after all. You've always been sensible and gracious. I trust you'll handle it well. That night, he took Binger as his concubine. Wanqing sat alone in her room, listening to the laughter coming from the side yard, smashing teacups in fury. Tears streamed down her face. No wonder Wanqing Shen broke the engagement so easily back then. She must have seen straight through what kind of person Song Yuanzhou is. We're barely even married, and here he is bringing in not one but two concubines. What does my title even mean anymore? Her face suddenly turned pale as she grabbed her belly. It hurts. The maid panicked and rushed to get a doctor, but Wanqing stopped her. Don't. Wait till it's late and they've fallen asleep, then knock. But the longer she waited, the worse the pain got. Sweat covered her forehead, soaking her hair. In the end, she passed out from the pain. The maid didn't dare delay anymore. She ran off to call the doctor, causing an uproar throughout the manor. When the doctor arrived, Wanqing was already bleeding. No medicine could stop it. That night, she lost the baby. Yuanzhou Song and Binger Liu rushed in, the smell of blood thick in the air. Yuanzhou flew into a rage. She was having contractions, and no one thought to call a physician sooner. The old matron knelt trembling, quickly explained the whole thing. Binger Liu snapped. All this because of jealousy? Does sister think carrying the heir means nothing? The heir she just lost thanks to her tantrum. Yuanzhou stared at Wanqing Shen, eyes full of cold disappointment. With a flick of his sleeve, he barked, Keep your lady confined to the courtyard. No more stepping out without reason. From that moment on, Wanqing was completely cast aside. Her condition worsened from the miscarriage, and she was bedridden ever since. Less than a year passed, and she was barely hanging on. But one day, lying in her bed, she overheard Yuner Li outside talking to a maid, laughing as she said, Word is, the old madam is already looking for a new bride for the heir. With the missus like this, can't hang on much longer, and she's just a concubine born to begin with. The old madam's never liked her. Can't wait till she's gone so she can bring in someone from a proper noble house. You didn't see it. When we went shopping for jewelry with the old madam, we ran into her older sister. Now that's a real noblewoman. Absolute beauty. Makes you wonder what the heir was thinking back then, ignoring the legitimate daughter and choosing this. And now she's even pregnant. The South pacifying general treats her like she's treasure. Everybody knows how much he dotes on his wife now. People saying she's the luckiest lady in the capital. With that, Wanqing Shen coughed up a mouthful of blood. Within a month, she was dead. She hadn't been buried long when the old madam started looking at matches for the heir again. Gossip spread, how the heir's wife was practically bullied to death, and suddenly no noble family wanted to be connected with the Songs. Left with no choice, they elevated Binger Liu. The Liu family, thrilled beyond words, latched onto the Songs like leeches. Binger's brother, a known gambler, managed to lure Yuanzhou Song into the gambling dens. One thing led to another, and Yuanzhou got hooked. When his debts piled up too high, he secretly mortgaged the house deed to the casino. When the debt collectors showed up, only then did the Marquis and old madam realize that the heir had gambled away the entire residence. They planned to pay off his debts, only to see he owed an impossible 100,000 taels. Left with no options, they moved out overnight to a cramped, two-room courtyard. Just like that, the Song family became the biggest laughingstock in the capital. The emperor heard the news and scolded the Marquis for raising an unfit heir. docking the heir's salary for 6 months and ordering him to reflect at home. Things just kept getting worse. The Songs couldn't even afford to keep their servants and ended up selling most of them. Only a handful of old retainers remained. But Yuanzhou didn't change. On another visit to the gambling den, when he couldn't cover his debts, he actually sold Yuner Li and Binger Liu to a brothel for 500 taels. When they found out, the two women took their own lives, hanging themselves in their room. Yuanzhou Song became a disgrace. No one wanted anything to do with him, and the Song family never recovered. When I heard all this, Huaizhi Gu was flipping through a book, trying to pick a name for our unborn child. The cherry blossoms outside were in full bloom, the room filled with warmth and peace. Huaizhi gently rested a hand on my belly. Maybe we let the babe pick when the time comes. Whichever character he points at, that'll be the name. I pinched his ear, laughing. If you're this lazy, maybe I'll just punish you by making you pick some blossoms and bake me those peach blossom cakes. The petals bloomed bright against the spring sky. The moment couldn't have been more perfect.